All right, everybody. So, I'm just up and thinking about you guys, and I say, hey, you know what? Let me just see if I can do a little question very quickly. I'm very tired. It's Friday, but um, I know that the exam is on Monday, so I just decided to just, look at a little question. It's not going to be long, so I just jump on just to see, who will, be willing to join. Let's see who is up practicing and stuff. All right, you know. So as I said before, I just saw this question and just decided to just match it up real quick, right? This may take me like 20 minutes. All right. This is a 2017 question, by the way, right? I hope that you guys can see it clearly, right? Yeah, 2017 question. As you know, one of the topics to be on one of the broad topics on the paper this year is books of original entry and ledgers, right? And the cash book is one thing that they like to test a lot. So I saw this cash book question and I thought that this was a nice little question to just let you go into your weekend to get you to brush up on your cash book principles. All right, so let's get right into it. As I always say, whenever you see a question, right, ensure that you read through the question carefully. Don't get flustered, just read through the question. All right. So it says Phoenix Processors records its weekly cash flow in the format below. The records are for the first week in the month of July 2016, right? For the first week in July 2016. All right. So this is basically their cash flow statement, right? Or let's not say their cash flow statement. It's just a statement that shows their cash flow, their weekly cash flow, right? So you have the opening balances, right? For cash, debit column, credit column is empty. For bank, debit column is empty, credit column is populated. I want you to realize right off the bat that these two columns right here would relate to cash. These two columns right here would relate to bank, right? So you can just deduce that from looking at it. July 3, we have cash sales, and then we have another July 3, deposited cash in bank, and July 5, purchases paid by check, right? Um, then we have another July 5, cash withdraw, cashier withdraw cash from the bank, right? All right, so protector, good to see you, man, right? If it's blurry, I can zoom a little bit, but what I would advise you to do, protector, if it since it's blurry on your end, you can turn up the resolution, right, depending on your internet speed and quality, right? As I said before, I won't be doing much tonight. It's Friday night, so I'm just going to be doing something low key, right? Hopefully tomorrow I'll have the time and to do the company accounts, right? And manufacturing. But I do have manufacturing accounting videos, so you can check those out, right? I do have videos where I do manufacturing account past questions, right? So I'll definitely work on the company accounts for tomorrow, um, for you guys. All right. Yeah. So the balance sheet, Drifty K, the balance sheet. Um, I can definitely look at the balance sheet, but not tonight. All right, I'm just looking at this right now for the cash book. All right, all right. So the first question that is asked, right? It says, what kind of entry is the one made on the 3rd of July, 2016? Now I want you to realize that there are two entries made on the 3rd of July, right? So kind of wondering what they're talking about, not true, right? But I figure that they're talking about the second entry, right? Deposited cash in bank, right? Because they say what kind of entry, right? So then this one, the second July 3, right? Deposited cash in bank, then that would be a contra entry, right? And if you remember, on Wednesday night, I did another cash book question, and if you have not seen that video, you can just go and check out that video. I did a little marathon on Wednesday night, right? So contra entry is when one transaction affect both bank and cash accounts. All right, and so the double entry would be completed in the cash book. So that's what a contra entry is basically. All right, so then they ask what type of entry is it? It's a contra entry. That's 1 mark. So you just write contra entry. You don't need to write anything long or anything fancy. All right, then we move on to the next part. It says cash and bank transactions for Phoenix processors for the remainder of July are as follows. And so they give us some items here, some transactions here. Then they say use the form on page 11, which is the next page, right? So this is the form that they gave us. Well, it's kind of big, but this is the form that they gave us, right? That's the form that they give us on page 11, right? They say use the form to prepare the cash book of Phoenix rather, processors for the month of July 2016, and you should include the transactions in the first week, and that's 9 marks. So this whole little part right here, so is 10 marks, right? 10 out of the 20. So you would want to check it out, right? You would want to check it out. Very important. So let us look at the cash book. Yeah. All right. So you're going to put in, the question asks you to input the other items. They ask you to input these transactions for the first week, right? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 transactions for the first week. I want you to realize that July 3, this one is a contra entry, and also July 5. Do you realize that July 5 is also a contra entry, So when we are recording it now in our cash book, right, we start with our opening balances. The cash account had a debit opening balance of 2,350. So here it is, 2,350 right there, right? That's it, 2,350. That's the opening balance for the cash, right? And the opening balance for the bank, it's on the credit side, 11,890, right? Now, if you remember anything about your cash book, anytime the bank account have a credit balance, a opening credit balance, right, it means that it's a bank overdraft. And a bank overdraft is when the bank allows you to withdraw more money than what you have in your account. And so the bank account in the cash book it will reflect on the credit side of the bank account. So the bank overdraft will always be on the credit side of the bank account, right? So there it is. Opening balance is 11,890. The first July 3, it says cash sales 25,690, right? It means that you're selling goods and you're receiving cash. So that will be placed on the debit side of the cash book. Now you have to remember the principle of the cash book, people. This is the debit side of the cash book, the left hand side. This side is the debit side, and this side is the side that records cash or checks received by the business, the debit side. Make sure you remember that. All right. This side now is the credit side, right? This is the credit side. And this side, it records cash or checks paid out by the business, right? So anytime the cash book is paying out, whether it be cash or check, then you record it on the credit side. And anytime the cash book is receiving, or the business is receiving, whether cash or check, then you record it on the debit side of the cash book, right? So that is important for you to remember the principle of the cash book. So as I was saying earlier on, right, the cash account, the transaction on July 3, it says cash sales 25,690. It means that you are selling goods and receiving cash. So you would debit the cash book and put the information under the cash column. All right. Yeah. So Brit is here. Welcome, Brit. Yes, man, Brit. It's live. It's live. Right. I just decided that I just you know was thinking about you guys, and I say, hey, um, let me just see if I can just do a little low key question this evening just to relax in the brain. Right. You don't want to over practice or over study or panic. So this is a nice little transaction to just a nice little question to just you know keep your accounting brain going, but not too much. Yeah, not too much stress and strain. Right. All right. Yeah. So the next transaction, July 3, right, which is the contra entry. See it here? This one. That's the contra entry transaction, right? Deposited cash in bank. Now, watch this now, guys. Anytime you see a contra entry, you have to be careful. You have to be careful not to get mixed up or to get confused, right? Now, when it's a contra entry, the one transaction will affect both bank and cash columns. You understand? Right? What you need to ask yourself is which account is receiving, which account is paying. The account that is receiving will be debited, and the account that is paying out will be credited. Now, in this case, you are taking cash from the business and you are depositing it in the bank. So obviously the bank is receiving, and they even show it here. So see that 25,000, right, is on the debit side, and that's the bank in the bank account. And then this 25,000 here is on the credit side, and that is in the cash account, right? Yeah. So let us look at how we record July 3. So see it here now, July 3. So you're going to debit the bank account. So I always tell my students to ensure that write in the money first. You can't go wrong there. So you write in the money on the debit side because the bank is receiving the money. You write the $25,000 there, right? You write the date. That's easy, right? Then you ask yourself, where is the money coming from to put in the bank account? It's coming from cash, right? And if you had a folio column, you would put C in the folio column to stand for contra entry. And then you're not finished. Contra entry meaning that the double entry is completed within the cash book. So you have to make two entries within the cash book. So July 3, you write in the date, you write in the money in the cash column because the money is leaving the cash account. So you write the money in the cash column on the credit side to show that it is leaving the account. And then where is the money going? You write in the details, bank. All right. Yeah. Simple as that. All right. Good. Then we move on to the next one, July 5, purchases paid by check. So you are paying for some purchases, right? You're using check. Obviously, money is coming out of your account. Money is coming out of your account. So if money is coming out of your account, which side of the cash book would we record that on? Debit or credit? Bearing in mind, debit side is the receiving side, credit side is the paying side. This side, this side is the paying side. So which side would you record the information on? Well, obviously it's right there, right? So you would record it on the credit side, right? So July 5 purchases, and you put the money in the bank column. All right, cool. Everybody understand? Let me just check and see. All right, so yeah, man, everybody look good so far. All right, moving on to the next item in their cash flow statement or in their cash flow, whatever they call it here. So July 5, cashier withdraws cash from bank. As I said before, this is another contra entry, right? This is another contra entry. Because this transaction affects both bank and cash account. And if you look at it, see, it affects the cash account and the bank account, right? Yeah, good. So let's look how we record it. You are taking money from um, the bank account, right? And you're using it in the business. So it says cashier withdraws cash from the bank, and it's the cashier that is taking it out, which means that it is being used in the business, right? So what is receiving now? Think about it. think the cash account is receiving and the bank account is paying, not true? Yes. Right? So the cash account is receiving. So it means that you have to debit the cash account. 1,170. See it here? You're going to debit the cash account. You write in the money first, as I always say. Write in the money first. Write in the date. Then you ask yourself, where is the money coming from in the cash account? It's coming from the bank. So you write it there. Alright? But because it's a contra entry, you can't just leave it like that. Right? You now have to make the double entry or complete the double entry within the cash book. Alright, so you go July 5. See the date there? You write in the money in the bank column because the money is coming from the bank. And then you write in where the money is going, which is to the cash account. That's the contra entry. So you have finished entering the information for the first week. All of this. We finish enter all of this, which is what the question had asked us to do. Right? So the question, it says, including the transaction of the first week. So we just did that. All right, now we're going to do the transaction for the second week or for the rest of the month. We're going to do this now. We're going to input this in our cash book. All right, so let's start. July 8th, the owner withdraws cash from bank to pay his house rent. Now, if the owner is drawing money from the business for his personal use, that is what we call in accounting drawings. Right? Drawings. DRAWINGS. Yeah, so drawing spell. Yes. Right? That is what we call drawings. Anytime the owner of the business take money for his personal use, it's drawings. Drawings is an expense to the business, and we know from our double entry principle that drawings must always be debited. All right? So let us record that now, because money is leaving your business, and they said that he took money from the bank, right? So it's going to go on the credit side. So there it is, July 8th, joins. So this is the transaction, right? July 8th, joins, and the amount is what? $8,000. It's on the credit side of the cash book because money is coming out of the account. And it's in the bank column because they say that they take the money from the bank. All right, so that's the explanation. All right, the next transaction. July 9, a debtor who is S. Francis, he paid with a check for $2,000, right? And the remainder in cash, right? Now, this basically means that we are receiving money from S. Francis, who is a debtor. A debtor is a person who owe us money, or who owe you money. Now, S. Francis is a debtor. He owe you money, right? He must pay back the money, but he paid $2,000 with a check, and the remainder, which is $50, sheet here, $50, he paid in cash. So the cash account is receiving 50 while the bank account is receiving $2,000. And if these accounts are receiving, then it should be placed on the debit side, right? Because the debit side of the cash book is the receiving side. So here we go. July 9, Francis, right? Cash is receiving $50. The bank account is receiving $2,000. Just like that, right? Simple one too. Then you have July 10, right? It says cash sales deposited immediately in the bank account, 31,110, right? So you are selling your products or your goods, and you receive you receive the cash, but you deposit it straight to the bank, right? This transaction sometimes trick students, right, for them to think that it's a contra entry. It's not a contra entry, right? Now, how I like to explain this is, just say, for example, somebody come to your business place and they are buying something, but they are using their debit card to pay. What that means is that the money is going to go straight into your account, right? Because they are using their debit card, right? So it's really a cash sale, but it goes straight directly to your bank account. So the bank is receiving, right? And it is sales. So you would debit the bank account. See it here, July 10. So you debit the bank account, right? And in the details column, you have sales, and you put the date, right? Yes, young. Very good. Right. Brit says she nervous. Don't nervous, Brit. Don't be nervous. Right? Account is not as difficult as you think. Very simple. So we're moving on. July 11. Payment to creditor J Davis by check. Right? So you are now paying. July 11 is really the opposite of July 9. You know? In July 9, you're receiving money, right? Cash and bank. And in July 11, you're paying our creditor, but you're paying the creditor using a check. And once you're paying money, you know, so it's coming out of the cash book, which means it's going to be on the credit side. So here it is, you know, on the credit side in the bank column too, because it did say buy check. All right. All right. Now look at this, July 18. Look at that transaction. It says purchases paid for by bank's credit card. Purchases paid for by bank credit card. If you don't mind, Sharp, you would want to record this information in the cash book, right? But this information should not be recorded in the cash book. Do you know why? Because you are using a credit card. So, sir, why I wouldn't record it? Whenever you're using credit card, no money is coming from your account, especially immediately, right? The credit card, the use of the credit card, that is why it's called a credit card. It means that you're buying on credit. So it's a credit purchase you're making, right? So you're not using any of your money right now, right? So that money will be paid for by the issuer of the credit card, which in this case is your bank, right? So they will pay for it for you, and then you will repay them. So you basically owe the bank or the credit card company, right? So you're basically buying on credit. So June 18, you would not include June 18, July 18, sorry, because you're buying on credit. Credit purchases are recorded in what? Purchases journal or the purchases daybook. See it? Book of original entry that you know. You need to know that. Right? I think I have a video on that by the way. Yeah man, I have a video on purchases journal and purchases ledger, sales journal, sales ledger. You need to check it out. Alright? Well, it's not really tricky in a bit. Remember, this is called principles of accounts, right? So you have to learn and know the principles. It's just that there are a lot of principles that you have to remember, right? Just like math, there are a lot of principles in math that you have to remember just the same, right? So once you learn the principles, man, you would realize that okay, this is um a credit card, and when they use a credit card, they're buying on credit, right? So you don't record credit in the cash book. The cash book is only for cash and check transactions. Once your business is receiving or paying out cash or check, you use it in the cash book. The cash book does not record any form of credit transaction. So anytime you see nothing about credit, I know a cash book you talk about, right? So July 25, right? July 25, cash sales, right? Cash, this one is pretty simple. It's pretty simple like this one up here, so July 3. So you will treat it the same. You are selling, you're receiving cash, right? So July 25, here it is. Selling, you're receiving cash. Pretty simple, right? You debit the cash book because you're receiving cash, right? And then you go to July 29, wages paid in cash, right? Wages paid in cash. So now you are paying money out of the cash book, right? Which means that you would make a credit entry in the cash book, right? So you go down to your cash book on the credit side. See it here, July 29, put in a date. The details is wages, and in the cash account, right, you put the 4,500. Let me show you the cash. See there? Yes, cash account, cash column, you put the 4,500. Now you balance off your account, right? Now this is where some persons too told me that they have difficulty balancing off the cash book. No, yes, XZ teen. You don't need to record credit card purchase in the cash book. You know what I mean? That will be recorded in the purchases journal. All right. Yeah. So when you're balancing out the cash book, you simply add up all of the columns. That's what you're doing. You're adding up all the columns. That's the first thing you do. Add up all of them. Add them up, come down. So you're going to add up the cash book. Add up this, come down. Add up the bank column, come down. Add up the cash column on the credit side, come down. Add up the bank column on the credit side, come down. So you do all of that, right? When you do all of that now, see them here? These are what I get. These are my results. I left them there so that you can see, right? Normally, I tell my students that they should, write them down somewhere very faintly that they can erase them afterwards, right? But I left mine here just so that you guys can see. You understand? So you get all the totals. So obviously, you realize that both columns on the debit side are more than the two columns on the credit side. Are you seeing that? Yes, right? So then that's the first step. You add up all the columns then. Then the second step is to subtract the smaller side from the larger side. So you're going to subtract these two from these two. What you're going to get next is called the balance carried down. The balance carried down. Now the balance carried down must always be entered on the side that has the smallest amount. So I don't want you to think that the balance carried down is always on the credit side. No. The balance carried down will always be on the side that has the smallest amount. It just so happens that in this particular case, right, the side that has the smallest amount is the credit side, and both columns on the credit side are smaller than the columns on the debit side. So the balance carried on would go on the credit side right here, right? So that the balance carried on is really the difference between the two sides, You get what I'm saying? And then another thing to remember about the balance carried on is that it is always recorded at the end of the month. So the end of the month is July 31st, right? So you enter the information. July 31st, balance carried down. For the cash column, it is 6,600, and for the bank column, it is 16,680. It's the difference between these figures, right? It's the difference between those two figures. All right. Yeah, Shamar. Hopefully I can do that tomorrow. All right. All right. So now that you have done that, both sides are now equal. So all you will need to do now is to put your totals in, insert your totals, right? Because if you add up everything, come down, you get 36,100 on the cash and in the cash column. Let me bring it up a little bit. If I add up everything here, so come down, you get 36,100. If I add up everything here, so come down, you get 58,110. Likewise on the credit side, if you do the same thing, and add up everything, including the balance carried down, you're going to get the same 58,000 and so forth and so on. So you insert your totals now, right? Now, after you insert the totals, you double line because both sides are now equal and you're balancing off. And your totals must always be in the same line. Always be in the same line. See like that? Totals must always be in the same line. Even if it means that you have to skip a line to ensure that your totals are in the same line. You have to do that. Remember that, right? And then now you insert the balance brought forward or your balance brought down. It is always inserted at the beginning of the next month, right? So you insert the balance brought forward. The balance brought forward is the same as the balance carried down. Is the only difference is that they are on opposite side and the balance brought forward is below or beneath the totals. Yeah. So that's basically how you balance off a cash book, right? I don't think they sent a cash book question last year. So let me just leave this up here so for you guys to see. So you guys get that? Any questions? Tell us we're doing it a low key this evening. It's a Friday evening. I'm tired, but my mind keep running on you guys. So tell us we're doing it a low key this evening. Check it out. Friday evening. check it out to ensure that
I'm tired, but
I keep you
my
guys
mind keep
engaged.
running on you guys. So
And
till I say we're doing it a low
decided
key
that I
this
want to
evening.
check it
Check
out,
it Friday evening.
we go and watch
Check it
TV
out to
and
ensure that
whatever the case
I'm
may be.
tired, but
I keep you
my
guys.
mind
So
keep
everybody
running
should
on
do
you
this.
guys. So till I say
If you
we're
have
doing
any
it a low
questions, you
key
can
this
just
evening. Check it Friday evening.
we go and watch
Check it out to ensure that
whatever the case
I'm
may be.
tired, but
I keep you
my
guys.
mind
So
keep
everybody
running on
should
you
do this.
guys. So till I say
If you
we're
have
doing
any
it a low
questions, you
key
can
this
yes,
evening.
check the cash
Check
flow
it
chart.
Friday evening.
We go and
Check it out to
want
ensure
to
that
do some
I'm
man,
tired,
I'm going to
but
have a little
my
session.
mind
So
keep
everybody
running
should
on
do
you
this.
guys. So till I say we're
I
doing it
don't,
a low
but I
key
don't
this
want to
evening.
check the cash
Check
flow
it
chart.
Friday evening.
We go and
Check it
say,
out to
all
ensure
right, do
that
something like, yeah
I'm
man, I'm
tired,
going to
but
have a little
my
session. So
mind keep
everybody
running
should
on
do
you
this.
guys. So till I say we're
I
doing it a
don't,
low
but I
key
don't
this
want to check
evening.
the cash
Check
flow
it
chart.
Friday evening.
Just or
Check
just
it
say
out
the
to ensure that
notification bell. Yeah
I'm
man, I'm
tired,
going to
but
have a little
my
session.
mind
So
keep
everybody
running on
should
you
do this.
guys. So till I
Right?
say we're
Because
doing it a low
anytime
key
you
this
want to check the
evening.
cash
Check
flow
it
chart,
Friday evening.
just or
Check
just
it
say
out
the
to ensure that
notification bell. Yeah
I'm
man, I'm
tired,
going to
but
have a little
my
session. So you
mind
guys
keep
do this.
running on you guys. So till I
Alright,
say we're
because
doing it a low
I
key
really want to do
this
some
evening. Check it Friday
a little
evening.
more
Check it out to
detailed,
ensure that
special
I'm tired, but
session
my
stuff.
mind keep running on you
Right,
guys. So till I
alright.
say
So
we're doing it a
I
low
really
key
want to focus on
the
that.
cash flow Friday
Right,
evening.
but I'll
Check it
definitely
out to ensure that I'm tired, but
the session stuff
my
with
mind
you
keep running on you
right
guys. So till I say
tomorrow
we're doing
with
it a
some
low key
things,
the
right?
cash
You
flow
can even
Friday
look out for me
evening.
in the
Check
morning
it
or
out to
something.
ensure that
The session
I'm
stuff
tired,
with you. Just look out tomorrow with something we will talk. Alright. Always remember that practice is a calculators, right? And when I say practice, I don't mean to just only sit and write, but always remember that get your pen, pencil, you need to get your papers, you need to write. When I say practice, not those of you who have textbooks, right? But always remember that practice, you get what I'm saying? Right? And even if you don't have a textbook, what you can do, you can just screenshot the question from the video, right? And you sit down, you get what I'm saying, work out, right? So even if you don't have a textbook, right? I have some multiple choice, some multiple choice, right? And you sit down, you get what I'm saying, work out papers, right? That I want to share with you guys. What I'll do, tomorrow morning I'll just leave a link to our Google Drive where you can access them, right? So just look out for that morning. I'll just put it up on the chat, alright? So you guys take care, and I'll see you next time. Alright? Alright? So you guys take care, and I'll see you next time. Alright? Sorry about the audio echoing. Sorry about that, guys. Alright, guys. So I'll see you. I'll see you tomorrow. Alright. So just look out. Hit the notification bell, man, and you will see more. Alright. Take care.